Hello everyone, in this video I'm going to just be introducing the vertebrate groups. Many of the videos that I've done so far have been aimed particularly at Key Stage 4 and 5, so I wanted to do a few more aimed at Key Stage 3, and this is very much just an introduction to what the 5 vertebrate groups are, essentially, and their characteristics, their traits, and just give an example of one of each of the groups. Now, this is normally taught in the unit on classification, and you're taught that we have 5 big kingdoms, and the 5 big kingdoms are the animal kingdom, plant kingdom, bacteria, fungi, and a group called the protoctists, with the 2 largest being the plant and animal kingdom. Then those kingdoms are split into more groups called phyla, or the singular being phylum. And we think about the vertebrate phylum and the invertebrate phylum, and humans, for example, are part of the vertebrate phylum. So then we divide those phylums into class, 5 different classes, and those in that vertebrate phylum get divided up into amphibians, birds, fish, mammal, and reptiles. And those classes can be divided into even more groups, but that's what we're going to pick up on. We're going to talk about the vertebrates and the 5 classes of vertebrates that we have. So here are the vertebrate groups. Let's start at the top. We've got dry scales, laying eggs within watery shells, lungs, so developed lungs in the adult, and cold-blooded. Now, these are typical traits of reptiles. So these are traits you would find in reptiles. The dry scales is the key thing, with eggs with watery shells. So the example of the reptile that we've got here is the badly drawn crocodile. So that's how we define reptiles. Let's look at group 2. So feathers, laying eggs with hard shells, and warm-blooded. Well, the feathers is a bit of a giveaway. Only the birds would have feathers. So this second group of vertebrates are called the birds. Notice that only birds and mammals are actually warm-blooded, and by that it means they have their own thermoregulatory mechanisms. They're able to control their own temperature. All the other groups that we've, especially if we look at reptiles and we say cold-blooded, it means that they are what we call ectotherms. They have to take the temperature of the environment. They can't monitor their own temperature in the way that we do. So the bird that I have over here is clearly our example, and that's what we'll use as our bird. I think that's a robin picture there, probably not. Bird specialists might be able to correct me on that one, but there's our bird example. Now what's interesting is the third group down, because it gets often confused with the reptiles. This third group down have moist skins. So whereas reptiles have dry scaly skin, these have moist skin, and they lay jelly-coated eggs in water. The adults have fully developed lungs, and again these are cold-blooded. This group are what we know as the amphibians, and we have a newt as our example up here. It's got newt, frogs, toads, just some examples of different amphibians there, which leaves us with 2. Now, mammals. Mammals are the 4th one here. They're a very distinct group because mammals, like birds, are warm-blooded, but only mammals have these 3 unique things to them, these 3 traits. They have hair or fur. They give birth to live offspring, so no, not an egg per se, but actual a living offspring that is alive and doesn't need to hatch, pretty much. And they're the only group that produce milk from what we call mammary glands. So have hair, give birth to live offspring, produce milk from mammary glands, and are warm-blooded. They are our mammals. And I've picked the biggest in some food chains. I've picked the tiger as our example of a mammal. We are examples of mammals, so I could have had a picture of a human up there as well. So we are in the mammal category, which leaves us with only one more, which is fairly straightforward. Wet scales. I mean, the scales says it all, really. Fins are aquatic organisms, so live in water, lay eggs in cold water, and are thus cold-blooded. This is our final group, and this group represents the fish. That's just a very small introduction to the vertebrate group. So this video is really for Year 7 as an introduction into variation and classification. You can, interestingly, subdivide these particular classes, if you like, if you really wanted to. So we've talked about kingdom, phylum, class. We can then even divide these into more groups called order, and then in those into families. This is part of a classification system set up by a man named Carl Linnaeus. So he grouped things from kingdom, phylum, class, order, family, and then gave the two smallest group names of genus and species. It was a way of classifying groups more distinctly. But this video, like I said, is just to talk about the vertebrate groups. So the classes of vertebrates. So we have the reptile, the bird, the amphibian, the mammal, and the fish, and to define what it is that makes them distinct. Okay, hope all that helps.